Hello, everybody, and a special welcome to Avon, who is the winner of the special draw for the Ching cards and handbook. Congratulations, Avon. I'm going to, after I've done this reading for you, using the tarot and the Ching cards, I'm going to mail it to you. And since you're also in Europe, just like me, hopefully you're going to receive it pretty soon. So I'm going to do a reading combining the tarot and the Ching cards and systems. And this reading is going to be for you, Avon. And since you haven't given me a specific question or topic to work with, we're going to do a general reading. And to everybody else who decides to join us and watch this reading, welcome. I hope you're going to enjoy it, and perhaps you're also going to find some messages in this reading that you're going to be able to resonate with. But if you would like to get a more personal reading, a personalized reading, you can book one on my website. You can find a link in the description. So I'll be using the Fountain Tarot for the tarot portion of this reading. And I actually just want to draw one card to see what topic we should consult the cards on today. Let's see what the cards would like to discuss with you, Avon. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that first and build the reading around it. Okay, this is the Four of Swords. And swords, they represent the air element, which is the realm of the intellect. It's logic and reason, your thinking, your cognition, as opposed to, your intuitions or your feelings or your actions, and the practical, aspects of your life. This is purely about thinking and processing the world from an intellectual perspective. And number 4 is a number of stability and also a closed system. So in a way, this is being isolated and not absorbing any external circumstance or influences mentally. So withdrawing and separating yourself from external impact mentally and intellectually. It depends on the situation whether that's a good thing or whether, you need to try and make an effort to open up your mind. So, what we're going to investigate in this reading is whether this energy is to your advantage right now or not. Whether you should really be taking a break and, protecting your mental energy from harmful or draining, energetically negative outside influences, or whether you should make an effort to become more receptive. Okay. So, let me actually ask the cards first. The first card is going to reveal which areas of your life this Four of Swords energy is needed in. If there's any aspects of your life where you should make it a point to isolate yourself from external stimuli and focus on your inner peace. And the next card is going to represent those areas where this energy is doing more harm than good. Okay. Let's have one card to see what the general advice is. And then we are going to draw 3 Ching cards as well. And these cards will represent the advice from the Ching for each situation. And finally, the general advice moving forward. Okay. All right, let's have a look. We have the Lovers as the area of your life where more of this Four of Swords energy is needed. The Hierophant is where the Four of Swords is not exactly useful or necessary. And the general advice is the Moon. Okay. 3 Major Arcana cards. Very exciting. And now let's see the I Ching's advice. The first one is 56, Lu, traveling. And then we have Sun, decrease. It's number 41. Then the Moon, which is the general advice. We have Sui, following. All right. So let me get started by reading the messages that are to be found in this little booklet. The Lost Art of Ching. So let's start with Lu traveling. It's 56. Interpretation. Not just traveling, but seeking and sojourning on a personal quest are favored. Make all decisions carefully and avoid imposing your will on others. Do not burn your bridges as you set out. Oh, I think these are, because I haven't really studied this little handbook that much. I think these are the meanings depending on the different positions, but we don't have positions here. So yeah, so it's 56, traveling. And I remember getting this hexagram in a relationship context once. I think the Lovers makes it pretty obvious that the energy of the Four of Swords is most welcome when it comes to relationships. Primarily romantic, because, the Lovers, more often than not, it's pointing to our most intimate relationships. Now, I'm going to explain this a little further as we move along, but let's now have a look at the Hierophant in Sun. So, the Hierophant stands for higher learning, and especially institutional learning. So it's an organized way of acquiring knowledge. And decrease, number 41, is your advice. Restraint balances the energetic rush of release. Sacrifice access to achieve equilibrium and clarity. So this is essentially about moderation, I guess. And the general advice with the moon in Sui 17. Allow attraction to guide you. Learn from all you encounter. Alright, so let's see what we can figure out here. So, the Lovers is indicating a situation where two people or two entities, two groups perhaps, come together, but more typically this is two people in an intimate relationship. So two people come together and they create this bond, this aura, where they are safe. But this is also where a lot of the toxicity takes place. We all have, injuries from the past. And intimate relationships are one of the main playgrounds and areas in which these past traumas can play out in very detrimental ways. So, it's this bubble of two people that the Four of Swords suggests needs to be evaluated with a cool head, using your rational mind, your logic, and your mind, not your heart. So the Four of Swords suggests that more emphasis needs to be put on your individual will instead of the will of the other person. And this could be, a romantic relationship or a friendship or relationships in general. And so the Four of Swords, which is shutting down and putting the focus and the center of the attention on the individual and what you want and how you feel and what is going on within you, instead of keeping the relationship in the center of your world, could be very beneficial at this moment. The Four of Swords, in a lot of ways, is about an impartial perspective, objectivity as much as possible, and not allowing yourself to be enmeshed with another person, which is difficult to do. And the thing about this Ching card, this hexagram is about the experience of being alone in the world. No matter what you do, no matter how much you try to connect with other people, the ultimate truth and the reality of your existence is that you're alone. And this aloneness, it can be something that connects people, because we all have this same experience of isolation. And this could be good grounds to build rapport with another person. But, having this experience of a shared fantasy, a very strong sense of a shared reality, it can, be a good thing, but at the same time, it's destructive to your sovereign, separate, individual existence. And so this Ching card of traveling, it's about phenomenon, surrounding you, and this ever-changing landscape of things and people and relationships that surrounds you. And the need for you to be solid in who you are and what you want. It's completely fine to be in a relationship and prioritize the relationship. But at the same time, it's important to keep your boundaries and to know where you start and where the other person ends. And so I think this is a little bit of a warning to take a step back and reevaluate a situation in a close interpersonal relationship of yours where the boundaries seem to be blurred at the moment. And to get back to that, notion of you being a traveler and you having to count on yourself first before anything else and anybody else. On the other side, we have the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is about, as I mentioned before, it's about organized learning. So it's the card of acquiring skills and knowledge through some institutionalized means, some, traditional educational pathway, which could be a university or some other, type of a traditional approach, where you need to have humility and you need to follow instructions, and where there's a hierarchy of knowledge and power, which seems to be irking you to a certain extent. And this is where I think pushing this narrative of you as an individual and you knowing better and you not needing anybody else, because, the Four of Swords is incredibly independent, and you are. But the truth is, you need other people sometimes. And when it comes to your education, your knowledge, your intellectual development, the cards are telling me that there's a need for you to give up some of your pride and allow yourself to follow in the footsteps of people who know better. This is Sun, decrease. So that's a card of having to take things in moderation. Self-awareness, pride and dignity, and the ego in general are good things to a certain point, but after a while they become self-sabotaging energies, and they can have a reversed effect. And instead of helping you gather more information and have more knowledge in the world, they can become a very problematic obstacle in your way. So this card is asking you to swallow some of your pride and see if there's any way for you to get some more out of your education, or to find new ways to learn about what you're interested in with the help of some people who are perhaps more conventional. Perhaps they are not as innovative, but they have a lot of knowledge nevertheless, and they could help you along. The Four of Swords, I think, has a lot to do with not wanting to be like people who are intellectually inflexible. But in that process, you're making yourself a rigid thinker. If you reject rigidity on the grounds of you don't want to be like that, you're essentially doing the same as they are. So it's important, I think, from the perspective of your of the development of your wisdom and knowledge, to give these more traditional ways a chance as well, and see how that works out. In general, the advice is the Moon. This is quite a pretty card. It's very, very beautiful. But at the same time, it's kind of scary, because the Moon is about not having enough information, not knowing enough about the future to be able to make good decisions. So it's this fundamental fear of not knowing whether your decisions and the direction that you're heading in is the right one. And the cards are telling you that your intuition is correct. the future hasn't made up his or her mind yet. This happens sometimes, I think, where the future of the external world is undetermined, and there's no way to access the truth of what is going on underneath it all. And, most people would perhaps argue that that's what's happening all the time. But I think some time periods are more like this, when there's more of an uncertainty and unpredictability, where, it just feels like things are in constant flux and chaos. And you're right to feel this way. You're right to feel that that the future is undetermined. And the advice here is to take it day by day. The following is about adaptability. Coming up with a very detailed and very, sophisticated and fixed plan about the future now would be a waste of time, because things are changing from Monday to Tuesday, from Tuesday to Wednesday, and you just don't have that stability around you to be able to make those kinds of plans, and that's okay. And so this card is asking you to have a flexible mindset and to react instead of trying to build up a plan, a strategy in your mind. Each day, each week, see what's going on and adapt to that. It's more important to be observant now than to be proactive. It's more important to keep your eyes on what's going on around you and just watch what's happening than trying to force your concepts and your understanding on reality. And yes, indeed, it's kind of hard, and it's kind of frustrating to try and make any progress in this situation. But I think the Four of Swords is also speaking about the need to just withdraw and observe and not be an active participant for now, and just see how things are unfolding for the next few weeks, because everything just seems to be pretty arbitrary. It seems like since one event does not directly produce the next one, at least seemingly, the connections between cause and effect are hard to find. It's better to just assume that things are still under construction, so to say, and your fate and the future of what's to come is still undetermined. And so it's better to just be on the sidelines and observe for now and try to see the pattern. And once you see it, you can, move with more confidence. But it seems like that's not really an option right now. So I hope that you enjoy this reading, Aven, and thank you to everybody else who decided to follow along with us. And I hope to see you all in our next video.